So I've been covering this case of Kaitlin Armstrong for nearly 2 years now. 2 years come May 11th. I think we might have the last of the trial exhibits. We'll see what happens. But this new video of Kaitlin shooting and never before seen photos I received of Colin Strickland's home in Austin. The home that Kaitlin finagled her way into in order to live with her on-again, off-again boyfriend. Colin once lived in this 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,383 square feet home. It's now valued at $467,000 on Zillow. But we've got all these photos I want to go over, and I really want to talk about the love triangle timeline between Kaitlin Armstrong, Colin Strickland, her boyfriend, and Mo Wilson, another cyclist. They were all cyclists, some better than others, and it's not like the women necessarily knew from the beginning they were in a love triangle. Maybe you have seen that video before of Kaitlin Armstrong shooting at a gun range in January of 2022, just mere months before she gunned down Mo Wilson in cold blood. Maybe it's your first time seeing it. I know since I've been covering this case almost since the day it happened, since the first day I heard about it, I've been so into it, all the players and the Instagram photos, and analyzing what could have motivated this crazy woman to harm another woman. So we're going to delve deep into all the Instagram posts and these new photos we got of Colin's home, one that Kaitlin probably wished she had turned into a love nest. I'm sure she hoped it was a love nest that would become a marital home, that her and Colin would one day have children and fill with kids. And take a look at these photos I'll play throughout the video, see what you can see, and see if you can see the mysterious substance that appears in this jar of supposedly food. Well, obviously it's not food in there anymore. It's the quote-unquote flowers that Colin lied to Kaitlin about and said he delivered flowers to someone when he was really with Mo. But I also am leaving a couple of links to the docket on YouTube. There's a couple of lives he's done. Really, there's a lot more lives, but there's a couple of lives he's done about the Kaitlin Armstrong case, and he's had some participants on there, people who were actually in the courtroom during Kaitlin Armstrong's trial. And they know a lot. They filled in a lot of gaps for us because we did not, unfortunately, get to see the trial on TV. We only saw opening statements and closing statements, and I believe some of the victim impact statements, but we didn't get the whole trial. What I keep fixating on is how Colin put Kaitlin in the friend zone in public in an Instagram photo from July 2021. Now, this was at least 2 years into their relationship. We're going to go all the way back to 2019, which was the first public photo I could find of Colin and Kaitlin together, where I guess he's kind of claiming her on Instagram. And we're going to see how 2019 grew in controversy and drama all the way to the fatal day, May 11th, 2022, when Kaitlin Armstrong entered the place where Mo was temporarily staying and decided to just end her life so brutally. I'm watching as we're getting more evidence of these text messages that went back and forth, how Kaitlin's anger was amping up, and how Colin just didn't know how to respond or didn't respond in the right way, and how he wasn't clear with the women in his life. And perhaps this tragic response Kaitlin had to Colin's fear of commitment. Since Kaitlin and Colin were still living together at the time of the murders, at least 3 years almost after the day in 2019 when I saw them on Instagram celebrating Colin's birthday together, I'm assuming I will make the broad assumption by what I'm reading into some of these text messages, and it is a broad assumption, that perhaps Colin and Kaitlin may have still been sleeping together. Maybe they were still having sex, and on again, off again. What Colin would eventually tell police is that he only broke up with Kaitlin for a couple of weeks. Obviously, in Kaitlin's mind, as we'll see, her relationship to Colin was a lot more serious, and she just couldn't take a hint or read the signs. and how these fatal mistakes and decisions in Kaitlin's heart caused her to enact this evil plan against Mo. So it was January 12th, 2022, that first opening video, but there were text messages to go along with it. It's the video that Kaitlin sent to Colin, January 12th, 2022. I don't know who took the video of Kaitlin, but she is sure as shooting, learning to shoot. Kaitlin texted her boyfriend Colin, "Recoil is too intense to hold at the bottom. Sturdy." And Colin texted back, "Ooh, fun." Now Colin's, I guess, has a thing for women and guns. There was another Instagram photo from years back that didn't age well, something about women and guns in his backyard. Obviously, Colin thought it was lighthearted, fun, sexy. He had no idea the foreboding that would accompany women and guns and everything. In fact, Colin is the one who purchased guns for Kaitlin and himself. I think I heard it was because there was some kind of road rage incident that Kaitlin was involved in. Was someone raging against her, or was she more than likely raging against someone on the road? After all, it is Texas. They love their guns. Not everyone, of course, but yeah, it's a free country. Colin likely had no idea what Kaitlin would do with this gun. But January 2022 is the same month, this month where she's shooting away at the gun range. That is the same month that Kaitlin discovered that Colin was cheating on her. Cops learned that fact when an anonymous caller called them and let them know everything that happened in January 2022. More on that in a moment. Let's look at these text messages that Colin texted Kaitlin. Just one day before Colin was in some type of a huff, he was asking for an image of the McBridges guns receipt for the pistols for some reason. It should be in the pistol case on the bar stool in the living room, he wrote. Can you do that? In the plastic case. Need it ASAP. Now, if you look at Colin and Kaitlin's home, and I know it's his or was his, I'm just calling the house both theirs because they both lived in it apparently for years. I'm not sure of the exact date that Kaitlin moved in, but it's pretty cluttered and junky for my taste, but it's still a beautiful home. Lots of light. Kaitlin wrote Colin back, "I don't see receipt. We took pic that day. Let me check my photos." So Kaitlin sent him a photo and she wrote December 6th. So it must have been December 6th, 2021, when Colin purchased these pistols for himself and Kaitlin. Little did he know that 6 months later, she would be using it in a way that she never should have used it. But I don't know why Colin needed the receipt so quickly and fast and furiously, but Kaitlin was there, found it for him, sent him photos, sent him video of her shooting. Exactly 4 months to the day later, after Kaitlin sent Colin that photo on January 11th, 2022, Kaitlin would use a gun to fatally gun down Mo, perhaps the same gun in the video. I don't know for sure. And she would continue practicing her shooting skills, perhaps up until the day of the murder. So did she have this sinister plan just going round and round in her head? We're going to look at the trajectory of anger over the months and how this, you can't help but call it a love triangle. I know some people don't like it being called that, but that's what it is to me. Now take a look at first the kind of feedback that Colin is getting, backlash on Instagram because of him publicly calling Kaitlin his friend way back in July 2021. And from what I hear, I was sitting on these photos. I didn't know whether to display them or not, but thankfully from what I hear, Colin doesn't live in this home anymore. I just saw at one point it was put up for rent or sale or something, and then it was taken off the market, something like that. I don't know if he Airbnbs it now or what, but I feel more comfortable knowing he's not in the home. He is a victim of Kaitlin's craziness. So I thought, okay, I can show these photos the court released to us the other day. And Colin has indeed changed his name on Instagram. Can you blame him? I don't know if he changed his name in real life, but that Strickland isn't in his Instagram title anymore. This is the photo from July 27th, 2021. Colin wrote, headed from the Rift, Iceland. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce these names, these Icelandic names. Anyway, he was headed from the Rift, Iceland with my friend Kate, and he spelled it uniquely like Kate's name, Kait, seeing some beautiful sights along the way. Same allied bikes we raced, we tour on. Now, can you imagine 2019, she's with Colin. So this is at least 2 years later, July 27th, 2021, and he is publicly calling this woman his friend. As a woman, I tell you, I would not like that. I mean, if someone's supposed to be my boyfriend, she's in her 30s, there's so much we'll talk about what must have been going on in Kaitlin's heart and mind, and to be relegated to the friend zone 2 years after dating or knowing this guy, 2 years into the relationship, my friend Kate, I wouldn't like that. And Kate probably didn't like it either. Now, none of this means that I'm victim blaming Colin. I know I've seen a lot of comments. I know a lot of people do blame him. I don't blame him. I'm just examining the situation. This is what one person wrote to Colin. She was your full-blown girlfriend, and you have no indication of it anywhere. My friend, Kate, stringing her along until she became a strung-out killer. That's pretty harsh. You had a hand in this with your manipulation. Your ego is no friend of yours. Ooh. Another commenter claimed on a different post to Colin, she's gone because of you. Couldn't keep it in your pants. Yeah, there's some pretty harsh comments out there. Colin got a lot of backlash, and unfortunately, he didn't do himself any favors by how he acted outside the courtroom. Again, God bless him, God love him. I know Colin didn't want Mo dead. He may have been afraid of confrontation, and if Kaitlin was as psychotic and insane as to gun down Mo in the way that she did, imagine living with her, what that must have been like. She must have been an aggressive person, and we'll talk about the aggressive sex that she had with Colin after getting bikini waxed on May 11th, after killing Mo, and then going home and having this aggressive, maybe angry sex with him. What was that about? Oh my goodness. But Colin, maybe he knew Kaitlin as a strong woman or an aggressive woman, but he probably had no inkling that she was literally this violent. Unfortunately, we can only see videos of how Colin acted outside the trial. I don't like the way he interacted with reporters and pushing one's camera down and stepping over another. He was taking out his anger in the wrong way, in my opinion. And from talk of how I heard he was on the stand, it didn't seem respectful of the court process itself. Maybe he was medicated. I don't know. He had his little therapy dog with him, so I hope that gave him some comfort. After all, I can't imagine what he went through. I can't imagine any guilt or shame or regret or things he wishes he would have done differently. Regret is a bitter pill. If anything, Colin's just perhaps guilty of not being forthright and just leading people on. I don't think he's guilty of, he may have literally put the gun in Kaitlin's hand, but in no way did he put the gun in Kaitlin's hand to say, yeah, go kill Mo. I would have loved to see how Colin acted on the stand. If he were medicated, I don't know. I guess he spoke really lowly at first. And also, they say he cursed a lot, which isn't respectful of the court process to me. I hate that the trial wasn't televised. I feel it should have been. I feel many trials should be, of course, unless there's a juvenile involved or something like that. I just wish we could have seen it for ourselves, but we have to fill in the gaps with what they sent us. Now, this is the last message I got. Good morning. I have confirmed with the trial court team that we have released all the state's exhibits for this case, minus a couple of text thread documents that I will redact and release by the end of this week. So I don't know if we have some more text messages coming. The Travis County District Attorney's Office did not play or admit any other interviews as evidence at trial. So I was kind of hoping we would get more of Colin's interviews, just more to fill in the gaps. We got the body cam of when they first approached Colin's house and told him Mo was gone, and then most all of the audio was redacted. So I was hoping we could see more about his side of the relationship. All we have is the affidavit and what Colin told the cops. So let's go over this timeline, because Kaitlin was friend-zoned by Colin even before I believe he met Mo. I'm not exactly sure what month or day he met Mo, but you could see how everything started devolving after that friend zone Instagram post. You know, I've watched different specials and hopefully there's more coming up about Kaitlin Armstrong. Rumor is that if it's the same case, some bigwig might be asking for or paying for all these trial exhibits or getting more info. I don't know. We'll see. If we see something more come out about Kaitlin Armstrong, we'll know. But we've seen the 48 hours. We've seen Colin's friends kind of talk about, I don't know if they outright called him a playboy, but they called him like a guy who was at the top of his game. You know, he was almost ready to perhaps retire or just kind of transition from the super athlete and maybe just kind of live off brand deals or maybe go into a different, as you age, go into a different level of the sport. I do not know what that would have looked like, but I know Kaitlin saw herself in that picture. I'm sure she saw herself right by Colin's side as his wife, perhaps as the mother of his children, and she wasn't going to let anyone stop that. So weird. Kaitlin did not take the hint. If a guy you're living with or have been dating for 2 years, you consider yourself his girlfriend. If he puts in public for his 30,000 followers on Instagram, you're his friend, that's a big hint. This guy is not ready for you. But instead of Kaitlin walking away from the situation, you know, you can say, look, well, I know it's easier said than done. Instead of saying, look, if I'm just your friend, I'm just going to be your friend. I'm moving out and walking away. No, instead, somewhere in there, Kaitlin finagled her way to move into his home. I know her place, wherever Kaitlin lived, allegedly flooded or something like that. She used the opportunity to move in with Colin. And he probably didn't want to tell her no. He probably was trying to be a nice guy. But it really backfired. From the video of Kaitlin shooting at the gun range, I saw it again almost 2 years ago. I thought just about until the day of her sentencing and beyond, I've been thinking about how beautiful Kaitlin is, at least on the outside, and just how much she had going for her. I'm going to read her bio later. She was a realtor. She was well-traveled, an international traveler. I seem to remember hearing she spoke different languages, if I'm not mistaken. Why was she so fixated on Colin? She was 35 years old, around in there, her and Colin around the same age, because he's 37 now. And after 3 years of on and off dating, mostly on, because from what I see, Colin only admitted to being broken up with Kaitlin for 2 weeks in October of 2021. If they had only broken up for 1 or 2 weeks and were still living together and were still just so enmeshed, Kaitlin likely had it in her head, look, this is my boyfriend. I mean, she called Mo and told us such horrible decision, but Colin was playing these women kind of like a fiddle and causing confusion. And to his credit, maybe he didn't know how to break up with Kaitlin. Men can be victims of domestic violence too, of verbal abuse or what have you. Maybe he didn't know how to break up with this woman. Maybe he could feel in his spirit if he did break up with Kaitlin and kicked her out of his house, which maybe he thought that was rude. Maybe he would think she'd be violent towards me. Maybe she'd turn this gun against me. Who knows what was in his brain? Check out all these photos as I'll try and play as I accompany them along with me speaking, and I'll put them again at the end of the video. I should have enough space so you can see in depth different things, you know, the guitar in the corner, the book I looked up, like what is that? Or all the different little Easter eggs, like the Meteor Cafe bumper sticker on the fridge we're going to talk about, or the weed in the jar. You'll see. But Colin may not have realized the same month as the shooting video, January 2022, that's when Kaitlin for sure found out that he was still seeing Mo Wilson. Even if Colin and Mo had only seen each other for like a week, which he told cops, maybe Kaitlin was expecting a clean break. Maybe she was expecting Colin to never see Mo again. Now that might have been kind of difficult since they were in the same gravel racing sport and they ran in the same circles, and obviously they would see each other. Kaitlin might have expected Colin to just never talk to Mo again. Caitlin's jealousy obviously got the better of her and ruled over her. According to the affidavit, an anonymous caller contacted the Austin Police Department to provide information regarding this incident when Kaitlin said she knew about Mo and Colin. The caller advised she was with Kaitlin in January of 2022 and said Kaitlin had just discovered Colin Colin was having a romantic relationship with Mo, even though Colin and Kaitlin were still dating. This is when Kaitlin became furious and was shaking in anger. So angry that Kaitlin told this anonymous caller, whoever this person was she was with, that she wanted to kill Mo. So I don't know how Kaitlin found out. Probably because she was the techie one. Colin wasn't techie, so Kaitlin is still all in his iCloud and social media. And I want to touch on that too in a little bit of how I believe Colin was using Kaitlin. If he just wanted her as a friend, he let her move in, but then he's calling her his girlfriend to the police. It appears as if he's using her for her business acumen. As you'll see from her bio, I read 2 years ago, I'm going to insert in here, and you'll just see her skills. And was he using her for a warm body? And that's the whole cautionary tale we'll wrap this whole thing up with, is we can't use one another for, oh yeah, they're a warm body when I'm lonely, or they're great at business, or they know this social media stuff and I can start a business with them, but no, I don't really want to make them my spouse or have kids with them. That's the part I do see as a problem, and it can be a learning lesson for everyone, because we can't play with one another's hearts, because you never know if the heart you're playing with is just psychotic and go off the rails. I mean, we shouldn't do it anyway, no matter how that person reacts. Hopefully they can be a bigger person than how Kaitlin responded to Mo. So meanwhile, this same month, January 2022, when Kaitlin was shaking with anger and figuring out that Colin was still seeing Mo at some point, even though Colin and Kaitlin had briefly broken up, I don't know if they knew, were both of them seeing other people? Was only Colin seeing someone else? And did Kaitlin not know it then, but found out in January 2022? And did she assume the two were still seeing each other? And were they still seeing each other at that point? So meanwhile, that same month, January 2022, Mo sent Colin a text message, and it read, "Hey, so I would like to talk to you at some point. I had originally texted you on Friday, but appears my texts aren't going through again." That's because Kaitlin was playing around in there and deleting them probably. Mo said, "This weekend was strange for me and I just want to know what's going on. If you just want to be friends, seems to be the case, then that's cool. But I'd like to talk about it because honestly, my mind has been going in circles and I don't know what to think." So this is January 2022. Even if Colin only told the cops that October 2021, him and Kaitlin had just broken up for 1 or 2 weeks, and during that time, that's when he saw Mo, and that it was only during that time, well, that can't necessarily be true, because you can see Mo is still confused by January 2022, and she's just asking for clarification, which is good, which is more adult-like. She's the youngest in this unknown love triangle. She was only 25, but she was the most mature. She's asking Colin for clarity. If you just want to be friends, quote, seems to be the case, she's saying, then that's cool. She just needed to know what's what. Because when you introduce, sex and affection and everything to a relationship, rightly so, it could make the man or the woman thinking, oh, we are together. We're bonded. There's something, that's why God made it so special for people who are married, because it's something that's bonding, and it's not something we're supposed to be just doing willy-nilly with whomever. But the next day, Colin texted Mo back and he said, "Hey Mo, I feel very ishy, I'll say, for putting you in a position where you don't feel comfortable. Kaitlin came along the go to a meeting about the Sprinter Spartan hotel projects. In hindsight, this was not a good idea." So he's making it sound like, oh, Kaitlin just tagged along. So the Sprinter business was their business. And once again, I feel like he's using Kaitlin. He used her for her business acumen, her business skills to build these businesses to help him in so many different ways. But then when it came to, put a ring on it, claim you as my girlfriend, my fiance, or my wife, or the mother of my kids, or anything like that. No, it's like, whoa, but I'll use you for perhaps your warm body in bed. Yeah, you can stay with me. But, Kaitlin just came along to this meeting. She was just a tag along. So Mo still didn't really get clarity here. Let's talk again about the love triangle timeline, which is what intrigues me the most, even though the ladies obviously didn't really know they were in a love triangle. It was 2019. Colin and Kaitlin were taking a birthday ride. You can see the infamous house in one of his Instagram reels. Colin Strickland's date of birth birth is November 7th, 1986. So this must have been around November 7th, 2019. They were taking some kind of celebratory birthday ride. They appeared together with another guy on Instagram, and a photo of the house where Colin once lived can be seen there too. Then, less than 2 years later, after this 2019 birthday ride, Colin publicly friend-zoned Kaitlin. So even though they were all the way together over in Iceland, July 27th, 2021, that's when he was publicly calling Kaitlin his friend. Had Colin already met Mo at this point? Or was he trying to just keep his options open, get the benefits of having a woman in his house, maybe cleaning or cooking for him, or who knows what Kaitlin did, doing the business stuff, doing the stuff he's not good at, having her tag along certain places where she would benefit him, but then in public look like this single guy who's ready to mingle? Only 4 months after Colin was on Instagram friend zoning Kaitlin, he shows up on Instagram with Mo. Now, he didn't post this picture to his credit, neither did Mo. Around this same point, though, is when the breakup happened. Kaitlin and Colin broke up, according to what Colin told the cops, in October 2021 for only 1 or 2 weeks. Is this when he began dating Mo very briefly? And is that why he broke up with Kaitlin? Because he thought, Mo is better, or I like her more. I don't know, but he was definitely spending time with Mo. Because on October 28th, 2021, Colin seemed to text Kaitlin about business, but Mo Wilson was on Caitlin's mind that day. So Colin wrote, Ian and Amanda are available to meet at 3:30 in Lockhart. Can you join us for this? Colin wanted Kaitlin to join him for something, some kind of perhaps business. It sounds a little business-like. Kaitlin angrily texted Colin back, I know you know better than to show up at Meteor with that girl. Aside from that, enjoy your eve. And then she starts asking, where's the Dodge key? I can't find my helmet. Tell me you didn't take my helmet. She's getting angry. She probably wants to go for a long bike ride and get her anger out. Isn't it ironic that in the photos of the house, we can see a bumper sticker in these trial photos with Champagne Chain Lube Meteor, Texas on it? So the Meteor is some kind of cafe that has an Austin location and other locations, but obviously Kaitlin was more worried about Colin, whether they had just broken up still at this point, because this is October 28th, 2021, whether they were still broken up, whether they had just gotten back together. Kaitlin was super worried about Colin taking Mo to Meteor. Kaitlin seems worried about looking like a fool in front of their friends, I guess. She seemed perhaps even more worried about Colin taking Mo to Meteor than Colin perhaps even being alone with Mo. But Colin replied, not sure where the key is. Could you please be an adult? Mo left for Meteor with friends an hour ago. I am not going because I'm trying to respect you. And then Kaitlin wrote, and literally just walked in. I don't know if Kaitlin was saying Mo just walked in. Walked in where? To Meteor? Maybe Kaitlin was at Meteor at that point? It's hard to know. But Colin wrote back, yet I'm not feeling respect from you. And Kaitlin wrote, not the best feeling, is it? And Colin wrote, yeah, you sure are paying it back. Did you call Mo? What the F? Can you talk? I need to understand what is going on. Kaitlin replied, sorry, I can't talk right now. Ooh, this is so toxic. First of all, Caitlin's trying to demand, you know better than to show up at Meteor with that girl. That's a problem right there. Saying, you know better, trying to dictate who he could be friends with, instead of just having the maturity to say, look, whatever you do is between you and God. You're gonna risk losing me if you keep acting this way. No, she's trying to micromanage who he can show up with and not, instead of just leaving it more in the Lord's hands. Caitlin's one of those snoops that has to know everything. But with Colin saying, could you please be an adult? I see what he means by that. But at the same time, I don't know if he ever owned, yeah, we broke up for whatever reason. I started seeing Mo and that hurt you. I understand you don't want me in the same room with her, but this might be kind of unavoidable since we both ride in the cycling community. Maybe something like that might have been better. Might have still made Kaitlin flip her lid, who knows. But it's interesting that Colin wrote he's not feeling respect from Kaitlin, and Kaitlin wrote back, not the best feeling, is it? What does he mean by that? Was Kaitlin bringing guys home or something to his house? Or did Kaitlin go see someone else, like a revenge guy? Or by her saying, not the best feeling, is it? Was she just giving him payback? Just payback, like payback, payback, payback for how you've treated me. And that shows her she's the revenge or vengeful type. And what did Colin mean by you sure are paying it back? In what way? And then he's flipping his lid because Kaitlin literally called Mo this October time period, definitely October 28th, 2021. Did you call Mo? What the F? Can you talk? I need to understand what's going on. He's kind of playing dumb. First of all, I think it's stupid for anyone like Kaitlin to call the other woman. It just really shows your insecurity. Call the other woman and say, he's mine, we're dating. No, you don't turn your ire against the other woman. You are in a relationship with that man, supposedly. You just keep it between you and that guy. So I see why Colin is like, what the F are you doing? But he's also like, I need to understand what's going on. Well, I think he kind of knows what's going on. Maybe he's just trying to play his hand to see how much Kaitlin knows. But he knows he's been going out with Kaitlin at least 2 years at this point, or more, or longer. And they broke up briefly, and he started seeing Mo. And now he's telling Kaitlin, did you call Mo? What the F is going on? Well, what do you think is going on? She's being jealous, of course, but it's not coming out of thin air. It's not for no reason whatsoever. I'm not saying I agree with Kaitlin, but just call a spade a spade. Now, after Kaitlin so cheekily said, sorry, I can't talk right now, it's like she just hit that response. You know how you can just hit that response and the person calling you can just kind of go away. Sorry, I can't talk right now. Only 17 days later, Mo and Colin show up in their friend's Instagram photo. Now, a friend wrote on Instagram on November 14th, 2021, another great day out on the bike with Colin and Mo Wilson. He tagged both of them, displaying a photo of the couple. I think Colin's kind of hiding behind Mo. You can't really tell, but I'm sure Kaitlin must have seen that photo, and I'm sure it made her blood boil. If she was so worried about Colin showing up with Mo at Meteor in front of their friends, how did she feel about this photo of Mo and Colin, even though another guy is there, but them together on Instagram? This is 17 days after that October 28th interaction, so it's November 14th, 2021. You know, the drama is continuing, it's amping up. It's not, this love triangle isn't flattening out. It's still going. You know, it's still, the drama is amping up. So then we know January 2022, we see her at the gun range, and then by March 12th, 2022. Kaitlin obviously must have seen some kind of photo or something, had some kind of knowledge that Mo Wilson was nearby Colin somehow. Their text message exchange started out nicely. Kaitlin was kind of maternal, but then she turned into a jealous wench. So first, Kaitlin wrote to Colin on March 12th, 2022, channeling love and toastiness, XX. So that's kiss, kiss, still romantic boyfriend and girlfriend there. This is only 2 months before the murder. She said, oh baby, how we feeling? And then exclamation points. It was like text after text because Colin must not have been responding. Colin just wrote back, oof. Kaitlin just said, that rough, eh? Saw that puncture stop, whatever that is, I tried to look it up. Colin replied, I slept roughly 0 out of 9 hours last night. Kaitlin replied, started off maternally, oh, I'm sorry. We can do a sound bath plus yoga nidra when you're home to help recover. Guess what? Send my love to Pete and Mo. Colin wrote back, can you please stop? So that was March, and Mo Wilson was still on Kaitlin's mind. You know, whenever she must have seen photos or heard or something, who knows, she might have seen Snapchat stories or Instagram stories or whatever that might be disappeared into the ether by now, but she had a line on Mo and Colin. You know, she could have just been looking in his iCloud. She was obviously reading his text messages. Who knows how this girl Kaitlin kept track of them. By May 1st, 2022, Colin and Kaitlin were texting over furniture, kind of like an old married couple, like, Kaitlin's asking, should I take this out to Lockhart and get it out of the house? Colin's like, sure, take it out of there. And he sent her a video of him rolling into Patagonia, Arizona. Some of these videos, they were were just in the PDF, but we couldn't get the actual source video or the actual source photo. So that's why in some of the photos, you'll see Kaitlin's black Jeep Grand Cherokee in front of the house and on the inside and the furniture back there that she's talking about. So on the docket last night, they were surmising maybe with all that furniture taking up space, maybe that's why Kaitlin took Mo's bike and just tossed it in the woods instead of trying to put it in her black Jeep or what have you. Who knows? But Kaitlin had texted back, "Wow, so beautiful." Colin said to her on May 1st, 2022, "You could fly out to Tucson and jump on early." He's inviting her there, mixed signals. And Kaitlin wrote, "I think I'd like that." So Caitlin's flight was delayed. She eventually made it. Colin had sent her photos. She was loving some image. Colin loved Kaitlin writing, "Taking off, see you shortly." So those May 1st text messages bleed into May 2nd, 2022, and only 9 days later came the tragedy. According to the affidavit on May 12th, 2022, Colin advised Detective Spitzer at the Austin Police Headquarters that, quote, he currently lives with his girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong, and stated they have been dating for approximately 3 years, but briefly ended their relationship for only 1 or 2 weeks in October 2021. It goes on to say that during their break, Colin met Mo and then had a romantic relationship before Colin ultimately began dating Kaitlin again. He makes it seem so clean. It really is the Ross from Friends. We were on a break. What are the chances that right when Colin and Kaitlin break up, he has a romantic relationship with Mo that only lasts during those 1 or 2 weeks? It doesn't seem plausible. If we go back to that Instagram photo from November 14th, 2021, their friend posted another great day out on the bike with Colin and Mo Wilson. So if Colin is saying, look, Kaitlin and I broke up in October 2021, only for 1 or 2 weeks, that's when I met Mo, but then I got back with Kaitlin. Then November 14th, 2021, he's still out there riding with Mo. And that's not October, that's November. So, I don't know, I think a lot of stuff probably bled over relationships into each other, but the women likely didn't know about it. Mo probably had no idea, like a lot of people, even Colin's friends on these different shows like 48 Hours and whichever ones I've watched, where they talk about some of his friends in the cycling community. A lot of them just did not know what Colin's relationship with Kaitlin was. And it's so sad that she accepted that and probably internalized it. And instead of just walking away from this relationship with a guy who wasn't really serious, unless he needed something out of her, it's just sad she didn't walk away. If she felt used and if she twisted and turned that knife every time she saw Colin with Mo and it really hurt her soul, I wish she could have found the strength and the sanity to walk away and realize what she had going on as a woman and not allow evil to use her to be so negative and psychotic and take it out on Mo. Colin wants the public to believe it was a clean slate. I just broke up with Kaitlin during those 2 weeks. Oops, I happened to meet Mo during those 2 weeks. We saw each other and then that kind of stopped. We became friends, and then I went back with Kaitlin. I don't know if it was that clean. There was still deception and lies going on. Mo had to ask for clarity. Kaitlin was finding out stuff she didn't know, making her shake with anger. He just needed to tell Mo the truth. I hope he did. But Mo or Colin probably had no idea what a dangerous situation they were in when they went out to swim at the Deep Eddy Pool and at Pool Burger on May 11th. Like Mo's mom said, if Kaitlin would have just talked to Mo, Mo would have listened. Kaitlin didn't have to ambush Mo. She could have approached her woman to woman and Mo could have said, I didn't really know. Mo likely didn't know necessarily that Colin lied to Kaitlin in order to go out with her to the Deep Eddy Pool. Who knows? Colin may have told Mo, yeah, whatever, I didn't tell Kaitlin, or I did tell her and she's fine with it. Who knows? Mo might not have known anything. But whatever happened, Kaitlin came in that apartment where Mo was staying temporarily, whether she obscured her face with like a ski mask or looked crazy or let her just see her face and her long hair and ambushed her that way. Did she say anything to her? All we know is we heard Mo's screams and we heard those 3 fatal shots. But if you check out the docket, it does lead me to a couple of corrections I need to make. I assumed that Colin and Mo had gone Dutch that night at Pool Burger, but looking back on it, I see now Colin ordered a bunch of food. He probably paid for both of them like a gentleman, almost like a date, and then Mo just paid for an extra drink for herself separately. And that's all that is. And then that Feeny text that Kaitlin last sent to Colin. Maybe it represented more technically like I'm done with you, or not really done with you, I'm done with Mo, but she might not have meant that at all. Maybe she didn't even know he was with Mo at that point. She was just done with her waxing appointment. So I think got that wrong. But she was insane with crazy jealousy, and maybe it turned her on, because after getting waxed and finding out about Mo and Colin and stalking, go watch it on the docket. It's really well done. Driving around crazy over there, finding Mo, killing Mo, and then coming home to have aggressive sex with Colin after knowing what she did, after seeing what she saw. Did she think they were like united in blood? And how did she think she was going to get away with it? If Colin had made a fatal decision or mistake to go in with Mo into the apartment, and if Kaitlin would have shown up, if she would have caught them doing anything or just talking as friends, would she have gunned both of them down? And was Caitlin's plan to blame Colin for the killing, or did she not have a plan? Did she just let anger usurp her soul and take over and not think about the consequences? That might have been it. But I keep saying, imagine the life that Kaitlin would have now if she would have made a different choice. If she would have poured out her anger into a YouTube video, just sat there, or poured it out into a book, for other women or people who've been cheated on, or expressed that jealousy and hatred in any other way than the way she did. Just watch this, what I filmed almost 2 years ago. Caitlin's amazing bio, which I found online. This was before Kaitlin was even found. There was still a manhunt out for her. She was an international realtor. Watch this. Now, as much as Kaitlin tried, she couldn't wipe everything clean off the web before people got screenshots of stuff. Thank God. Cupper Sotheby's International Realty had once posted to Facebook a post welcoming Kaitlin. "We are pleased to welcome Kaitlin Armstrong to our Cupper family in Austin," read the now deleted post. "We are honored to have her as one of our distinguished associates." Kaitlin was called a tenacious agent who offers a distinctly competitive edge to buyers and sellers. Kaitlin Armstrong thrives on making real estate dreams a reality. I see why they deleted this, because it wouldn't be a good look for their company. She welcomes new opportunities to work with clients interested in all the amazing neighborhoods Austin has to offer, specializing in both domestic and international relocation. So that part is key. Not only did Kaitlin help clients relocate, for example, from California or maybe New York or somewhere in the United States, she also specialized in moving them in internationally. So this would give Kaitlin an edge if she's thinking about, how do I escape? Where do I go? She's a worldly woman, a worldly traveler who no doubt had her passport already, and perhaps her sister had one as well. There might not have been a waiting process to obtain a passport if Kaitlin was able to grab her sister's passport, get a new driver's license, and travel as her, especially to a country that does not extradite back to the U.S. Kaitlin also specializes in investments and commercial properties. Kaitlin is an integral part of her community. That's what her bio bragged about her. A natural-born connector, dedicated to building lasting relationships with clients and colleagues alike. In the face of everything we learned about Kaitlin in that arrest affidavit, when she shook with anger when she figured out her boyfriend had seen Mo, I don't think she was specializing in lasting relationships there. Kaitlin draws on her diverse background in competitive sports and high-level corporate positions with Fortune 500 companies. We don't really know which ones those are. At least I haven't found that info out yet. I only know about Kaitlin cycling. I know about her being a yoga instructor and a realtor, but I don't know what other company she worked for. It's an experience that allows her to excel in all facets of this business, it says. Kaitlin started writing mortgages at 19 years old and brings over a decade of real estate finance and asset management experience in Detroit, Austin, Los Angeles, and Singapore. Apparently she's been to all those places. Singapore could be another option of where she fled to. That's what she brings to her current life. says her bio. Kaitlin's love of architecture and design enables her to help clients envision the possibilities of a property, while her mathematical acumen ensures they are making a sound investment. Boy, if Kaitlin wrote this, she really makes herself sound like a superwoman. No matter the goal, Kaitlin remains keenly aware that real estate is so much more than simply a transaction, but instead a highly emotional decision that affects many aspects of a client's life. Now that's true, but if only her clients knew what Kaitlin was up to and how her emotions allegedly went out of control when she learned her boyfriend had gone swimming and out to eat at Pool Burgers just for a few hours with Mo Wilson that fateful night, and Kaitlin was all after Colin, all in his phone. She must have tracked him. Somehow she figured out what he was up to. And unfortunately, 25-year-old Mo Wilson paid the price of Kaitlin's rage and jealousy. Kaitlin is a graduate of Eastern Michigan University, where she studied accounting and finance. In addition to her work in real estate, she is co-founder of a vintage travel trailer renovation company titled Wheelhouse Mobile, based in Lockhart, Texas. Now, I'm wondering if this is what Colin Strickland posted a lot about on his Instagram. So, were they in business together? Chances are Kaitlin and Colin were in business together. She is also an avid cyclist who enjoys exploring new destinations and bike packing with friends. It's pretty much noted that while Kaitlin and Colin had dated approximately 3 years, according to the arrest affidavit, she's not described anywhere I've seen as a fiance or is set to get married. She might have even been in business with Colin, and Kaitlin even lived with Colin. But they don't seem like they were meshed. It doesn't seem like there was a plan to get married or even an engagement that I can find. When she is not helping clients achieve their real estate goals, Kaitlin teaches and practices yoga. Dedicated years of training in Bali helped Kaitlin take her breath work and meditation practice to a new level. Now that part made me laugh. Kaitlin wants to come off as this totally zen woman and her breath work and her meditation, and she's all chill, where the arrest affidavit describes her as a woman who just kind of went still when cops presented Kaitlin with all the evidence they had of Kaitlin being near the crime scene that night, of Kaitlin being caught on camera, her black Jeep Cherokee being caught on camera the night of the murder. In hindsight, reading this bio is crazy. That variety of experiences has given Kaitlin a unique view on the importance of lifestyle choices and how one's environment can play a major role in one's overall health and happiness, creating an even stronger desire to help her clients find the home that will help them reach their highest potential. Well, that was all shot to ish, wasn't it? So what if she had poured it all out, her anger and hatred and rage, in a different way? Instead of doing what she did, it's like she had solidified in her mind that she was in this house, she finagled her way in, she was going to stay there, she was going to probably want to marry Colin, have his babies, the superstar cyclist, and just live off his brand deals in the rays of his sunlight, and she couldn't get any other picture in her mind. Instead of serving 90 years right now for murder? Did she not see that coming? Was she like that Beyonce song, Ring the Alarm? I'll be damned if I'm gonna see another chick on your arm. Was that just solidified in her mind? And does she think about this every day, I'm wondering? Does Kaitlin have regrets? I don't think she was very regretful in court. From what I hear, she was pretty stoic and just cold, and just like in the interview. She's obviously physically attractive, probably not so much on the inside, but will she let God ever penetrate her soul? I know if anyone ever gets an interview with her, it will be interesting. I think Kaitlin was probably waiting for Colin to give up his Romeo or philandering ways or whatever, and she was just probably so in love with him, and maybe she looked at him as hers, a possession, and this is the man I got. 3 years is a long time, seemingly in her mind. I guess when you're talking about being with someone, you're talking about being 35 years of age. The baby making years are 35 already. Some doctors are saying, whoa, that's, you're getting towards the late stages of trying here, even though these days superstars can have babies up to 50 and if they have enough money for IVF and all this other stuff. But was she just trying to wait it out? Like, don't worry, Colin is mine. He's mine. He'll recognize me someday. He'll change that friend to girlfriend to fiance to wife, and nobody's going to get in the way of that. Colin obviously didn't want to tie himself down to Kaitlin. I don't even think maybe he wanted to tie himself down to Mo. If he would have wanted to, guys do what they want to do. Listen to their actions and not their words. If he really wanted Mo, he would have broken up with Kaitlin and say, look, Mo, you're the one I want, even if we got to do this long distance. Let's make it work. I'm really feeling you. But he didn't do either. Kaitlin didn't decide to be that put upon woman, I guess, and waiting for this guy to make up his mind and cheating or whatever. Instead, for some reason, she got it into her thick head. The only way to win him was to do away with this competition. She didn't do it by running a fair race. She didn't do it by trying to outwit, outsmart, be better, faster, more well-versed in her sport. No, Kaitlin was worse than those women who steal another competitor's high heel shoes at a bikini competition, or the cyclists who play dirty and, try and push over their competition. No, she was a woman who took these skills she was learning at the gun range and put them to practice to take another human life. Thank God Mo's family seemed like, from what they wrote in her obituary, that they're believers. She went home to be with her Lord and Savior Jesus, so I'm glad for Mo to be in a better place right now in heaven, even though how much her family and loved ones must miss her. But Kaitlin plays dirty and cheaters never win. I hope she knows that by now and can turn her life around too before it's too late. Romans 5:5, such hope in God's promises never disappoints us because God's love has been abundantly poured out within our hearts through the Holy Spirit who is given to us. I hope Kaitlin can let some of that anger and whatever, and Colin too. I mean, everyone has these mixed emotions, I'm sure, in the wake of this tragedy. I hope the Holy Spirit can come upon them and push the bitter anger, jealousy, hatred, whatever's taken root out. They can go on. I hope Colin can go on and live past this tragedy without self-pity or without hatred or whatever he's displaying, like he displayed in court during this trial. And go on to meet a nice woman and not play with any hearts, but just settle down and be happy. And Kaitlin, she'll serve the rest of her days out in prison, but I hope she too is not the same insane woman. Like Charles Manson seemingly just remained insane all the days he was in prison. I hope Kaitlin isn't like that. I really pray for an epiphany, for a true Christ change in her, because she obviously needs it. To perform an act like this, she needs it. So I don't know if this might be it, wrapping up the Kaitlin Armstrong case, unless she tries to escape again, I keep thinking to myself. Or if we see more text messages, maybe I'll go over them. Or if we get anything else, if any more else comes out. But it's been a long, almost 2 years of covering this case, but I'm glad it's one of the ones that kind of move rapidly in comparison to other cases, seemingly like the Brian Koberger case. Seems like that's going to be a long ride, and I can't imagine these families of the victims having to wait that long to see justice. So we'll see. We'll keep it up whatever we get. I might put more photos after this of the house and zoom in on different parts to follow up for those who want to see more. Thanks so much for watching all of this. Take care.